Welcome to Geocache Adventures, the podcast where we explore everything geocaching. I'm your host, Shadow Dragon 1. I love geocaching. If you're listening to this, you probably love it too. If you enjoy the podcast, consider sharing it with somebody that you think would love it. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and there's a Facebook group as well, so you can join in the fun and share your adventures. There's also a Patreon page that you can join and unlock exclusive content. Hi, everybody. Amy Shadow Dragon 1 here, and with me is returning guest Lee Katz, Varkofharken. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me again. I love doing this.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
And you approached me with this topic, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And a lot of times we've talked about travel bugs before, and different podcasts talk about travel bugs, but we're going to talk about the travel bug missions themselves today.
Yeah, I had a case where somebody gave me a bunch of trackables for Christmas, and I just now got around to, having enough time off of work to do the activating and missions and all this stuff. And it occurred to me, it's like, we've had so many podcasts and FTF magazine and the like, discussion groups that talk about making the perfect log or what to do with your trackables. You don't keep them. When do you keep them? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nobody's ever talked about just the mission part of it, actually activating and the mission part. And I thought, I'm going to talk to my buddy Shadow Dragon 1 and let's see if we can't get this see if we can't get this in a discussion a little bit.
And I took the bait, so here we are.
Sucker.
I know, right? So let's backtrack a little bit. So if there's somebody new to geocaching listening, what are we talking about when we say travel bug missions?
Okay, travel bug mission is basically the owner of the trackable, travel bug, geocoin, whatever it is. They they decide what they want this trackable to accomplish in its lifespan or however you want to call it. And it can be as simple as, just jump from cache to cache, which is supposedly the default from GCHQ, but I found that it doesn't work that way. But and some people get rather elaborate. I mean, I had one time I got a hold of a trackable and it was an army boot, and I don't remember the exact wording, but it was, I'm coming from way back in the other state somewhere, as in a different state. And I want a picture of the Caterpillar headquarters or something like that. Well,
Okay.
I live in Peoria, Illinois, which at that time we had the world headquarters for Caterpillar. So I was more than happy to snap a picture and send it on to them. And that actually made me feel good because we accomplished that mission for that trackable. So anyway, I got a picture of this world headquarters for Caterpillar, sent it on the log, which, believe it or not, some people don't know, you can actually attach pictures to your trackable logs. And a lot of times I've seen missions that ask for photos for scenery or for, you know, an eclipse or something like that, and that's totally well and good, but a lot of times people have to be reading these missions to be able to abide by them. The mission itself can take on life pretty much of its own for that trackable. It all depends on how much creativity or imagination the owner wants to put into it.
Yeah, and they tend to be a common one. If you read, people want pictures of, the geocache or certain areas and stuff.
Exactly. Like in that case, the trackable that wanted to see the world headquarters of Caterpillar, they wanted a picture of the trackable in the foreground with the background being the world capital. Okay, easy enough done. So I did it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how can we make these missions more interesting?
So what we could do is as you've seen in the past, I like to put a little imagination into some things. And what I've done in my missions is, let's back up for a minute. When you're filling out the trackable info to activate it, you have a mission and you have a description. The description comes up once you're done, it comes up as all about this item. Okay. And then the mission just stays as mission. So the description allows you to put in a background information, any forethought, leading to the mission. And then the mission itself is the mission. Makes sense, right? So what I will do is in the about this item, I will sometimes I've done limericks where that's a lot of fun. Get a 5-line stanza of stuff that rhymes. My about this item would be the limerick itself as a um example, I guess, or to kind of get some people in the mood. In fact, I just happen to have one. And one of my trackables, you'll like this one. There once was a man from Nantucket.
Oh my.
Yes. There once was a man from Nantucket who made all of his caches from a bucket. When it came to the log, he only found a frog who offered him tea and a crumpet. So, given that,
I like it.
exactly. So, given that, now you have an example of what I'm looking for is in your log that you're going to produce for me in the trackables adventures. Some people, and I can count them on my hand, have done this, and they told me after the fact, this is a neat idea, whatever. Thanks for giving me the time to do this. But a lot of times it goes completely either unnoticed or nobody wants to play along. Okay, so be it. Again, missed opportunity, just like the liar's cache. Missed opportunity if you don't want to have a little fun with it. So I did have one. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, I can't find it now. But anyway, they I can count on hand how many times this has happened to where somebody's actually given me a limerick, and it was very good. It was very entertaining, but unfortunately, a lot of times people just got it moving it along or on its way to so and so.
Yeah.
So it kind of dies out. But I've also done things like, like in the example of this one, um, I have now you have to visualize this, the trackable tag with the chain, and the chain attaches to a German Shepherd little plastic character.
Okay.
And okay, and it says, let's see here, current goal: visit caches within forests and state parks. After all, I never knew a dog that didn't like trees. So it's giving it a mission, which is kind of generic, asking for just forest and state parks, but at the same time, it's poking a little fun at it. Never
Yeah.
found a dog that didn't like trees. So, it's kind of like it gets the person hopefully reading the mission to kind of sit up and take notice. Hey, that's kind of funny, or that was kind of stupid, but at least it's there. Other people, and I've done it too. Hey, show me the famous statues or whatever that might be around the geocache. I did one where it was I did Lizzie the Lot Lizard, and it was an actual lizard. And the whole purpose of that one is it started in a trucker's truck stop
Okay.
geocache in Wisconsin. And it was supposed to say, hey, give me a picture of all the truck stops that you visit on your travels. You know, and some people have done that. But again, not a lot of people attach pictures. They're just interested in either not putting any log in because they do a simple drop from when you do your log
Yeah.
online to, okay, it's going with me to so and so, and you never hear from them again until they drop the log or drop the trackable. So it falls to the wayside. But there's so much potential for what somebody could do with their mission if people would just read it and follow it.
Yeah, I've got a couple that I've themed the missions based on what the trackable was.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had the helium, the alien,
Mm-hmm.
and his mission is to go to different UFO related sites
Oh, I wish I would have had
and
that when
have
I went to New
photos
Mexico.
taken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
And
have
then
been
I've got
awesome.
a zombie Joe who I think is missing at the moment. And his mission is he wants to get to the Winchester Mystery House
Oh,
and
nice.
have a
That's
picture
in
taken in front of it.
Winchester. Where's that one? I don't remember the word. That's in Massachusetts, isn't it? The
Is that one in
Winchester Mystery
Massachusetts
House.
or is it out west further?
Yeah,
I don't remember
I
offhand,
understand what you're
but
saying, though. Yeah.
yeah, different things like that. I had a at Halloween I got a it was a signal vampire
Okay.
fangs coin and he wants to go to Transylvania
Nice.
because Dracula and all that fun stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like to sometimes theme my missions based around what the coin is itself.
Well, and
So
I like to do that too.
yeah.
Um, I had Drake the Dragon that was it was the companion, which a lot of the listeners will know, but some that don't. Every trackable tag should have a companion with it that gives it weight, gives it bulk, gives it some tie into the mission sometimes. So mine was one of those little animated, not animated, cartoon characters of a dragon.
Okay.
And with it, I put on a anniversary token for Lifelike, which is
Oh,
the medical helicopters.
yeah.
And because, when dragon, flying, lifelike, flying. Okay. So this trackables mission, I talked about how my mom, who's passed away, loved dragons. And she's always wanted to go on cruises, and my dad never got around to taking her on a cruise. So, in an effort to memorialize my mom, give me pictures, and this mission is supposed to go to the far reaches by either plane, train, automobile, you know, obviously helicopter or airplane, whatever, boat, and take pictures along the way. Some people have done that, some people not so much. But it's again, it's an it's a different way of doing a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite mission you've given to a travel bug?
Oh, the limericks,
The
without a
limericks?
doubt, because sometimes I get some real hootenannies back. I've done one for um, the one I just discussed with you. I've done one for the volunteer reviewer trackables that come out every year or so,
Okay.
where the reviewers actually, come across somebody and they give them a trackable to activate. I've done a lot of those. I did one with Dr. Seuss, an ode to
Oh.
Dr. Seuss, and I had a ball with that one. I did a long stretch of a story, in fact, where the user or the geocacher probably got bored of reading it, but it was all in limerick. But it was like a whole book's worth because I found it online. And and it's just fun to see people engage with me to do the limericks or as close to they as they can come to them. Sometimes the limericks fall a little shy of it because this word doesn't really follow the coda for it,
Yeah,
but it's their willingness to try that I like to see.
that's cool.
Yeah, I know that one time I've had a couple of years ago they did that holiday tag swap through
Yeah.
GCHQ or whoever did it, and I swapped with somebody from Canada, and don't ask me where in Canada, I don't remember. But I swapped tokens with them and they gave me trackables back, unactivated trackables, and I sent them unactivated trackables. And what I did was I took those trackables that they sent me and extrapolated their address or their general area. And I said, okay, this mission is to go back to this person in Canada and
Oh.
visit geocaches on your way to getting to Canada to see this person or to give them back their trackables. They never made it to Canada. In fact, one of them I think is in like Nordheim, Germany,
It's a little far from
wherever
Canada.
wherever the heck that happens to be. I know that most of my trackables, I don't know about you, but most of my trackables, once they hit Germany, it's like they're in a fortress because they don't come back out. It's garbage in, but no garbage coming back out. They
Yeah.
just stay in Germany. And from what I've seen from Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, geocaching is big in Germany. I mean, we got nothing compared to them.
Yeah.
They're like really up here with their geocaching expertise and active, stuff. But I'm glad to see the trackables get out of the states sometimes. But there have been times where I've put the mission as stay in the states.
Yeah.
Specifically, I want to stay in the states. And I think for the most part, they've stayed in states.
No, that's not bad. Yeah, I've got a
No,
couple that have somehow managed to get over to Germany and they're just kind of bouncing around over there. And I'm
yeah,
like, that's all right.
yeah.
At
I've got
least
one in
they're still
Austria,
active.
right? I've
Yeah.
got one in Austria. I've got one in Germany, or a few in Germany. I've got one in Canary Islands. That one actually went lost. That was my very first trackable. It got lost in the Canary Islands. Probably fell off the island with Gilligan. I don't know, but there's a lot of things here that we also can touch on that I've noticed while I was going through my inventory of 194 trackables. Didn't know I had that many, but apparently I do. And it's this practice, I guess you could call it, where people take the trackables from whatever geocache or event or whatever, because they can be passed along through events, but people take them and they just hold on to them. And I
Yeah.
mean, not as in never seeing them again, but they hold on to them and they drop them in every cache they
They
go
dip
to.
them. Yeah.
Yes, they dip them or they visit them.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm glad for that. One of my trackables has over 57,000 miles because of it. But come on, man, let it go for a minute. Let somebody else have a little fun with it, especially if it's a limerick cache or a limerick trackable and you're not doing the limericks.
Yeah.
So, what are
It's
you going
one
to do?
thing if you're at least following the mission,
Uh
but a
huh.
lot of times they're just adding miles to it.
Or for all I know, they've lost the token itself and they're just adding miles to it in an effort to keep it alive that way. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I've seen that happening more and more. I've got somebody that grabbed a token from me back in 21, and she still got it apparently because it's still logging miles, but I haven't had miles logged for about a year.
Yeah.
So she either fell off the face of the earth or I don't know, got too busy.
Yeah. It's always sad to just see them fizzle out. And especially like you remember, we recently had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle special ones. When the SpongeBob special ones were out, I managed to actually get one of those.
Why?
And yeah, I was like, this is awesome because only so many of them are out there. And I took it to a couple caches, get some miles on it, dropped it off, and somebody picked it up and is still MIA ever since. It has
I know.
never
And I
had any
don't
other
know
logs. And
and I think the problem is that people grab these trackables and either don't realize that they have to move them along in other caches,
Yeah.
or they just think that they can move them along having them, like suitcases.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it, but I mean, I do my fair share. I've got 3 or 4 of them that I picked up at the last event that I just have no place to put them. So yes, I'm going to drop them, or not drop them, dip them in geocaches as I go,
Yeah.
because there's no other alternative until another event comes up, and then I'm going to try to offload them at the event. Is what it
Yeah.
is. I don't have a I don't have a lot of caches that can take trackables around here.
Yeah. It can be hard to move them if you don't have a place to actually big enough to leave them in.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of my cache, like one of my, because I've got a couple adventure labs out, but I've only got 2 physical caches out right now. And the one is big enough to put trackables in.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And so that's kind of my go-to. What if I bring trackable home, as
Uh-huh.
I will take it and I'll stick them in that one if I'm not going someplace with a bigger cache to leave them in.
And I got a buddy that has a ammo can geocache literally in his front yard, that if he gets a hold of a trackable, he'll drop it in there and wait for somebody to come in, like a spider to the web. You
Yeah.
know, wait until they come to me, because he's got a Geoplinko board on his garage that is awesome. It's got a lot of coverage lately, I guess, on Facebook and other areas that I follow. So it's there, and it brings people into the boonies of Mapleton, Illinois, to do this Geoplinko. But then once they're done, they get into this ammo can, and they have basically the fruit of whatever's in there. So they can swap trackables, they can whatever they want to do. I'm not really ready to do that. I got my return of Creepy Crawly, and I'm going to leave it at that, because quite honestly, I don't have any place to put something that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one that I do own that is that big, well, I've got 2 of them. One doesn't get hit more than maybe once or twice a year. In fact, I just had somebody hit it the other day. Um, and the other one is in literally the heart of Peoria, to where nobody would expect an ammo can, and it has gone muggled once before. So I don't really want to put trackables in there on the chance that it would get muggled again.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'll just hold on to them for now. Let them travel with me.
Yeah. I can't blame you there.
Nope. But the missions can really make or break the trackable sometimes. It's people want to liven it up, but at the same time, they don't put enough thought into it to make it, you know, what make it worthy of somebody doing something. So as a result, if enough people don't do anything with missions, then it kind of goes unnoticed from here to there. But if the tracker or the geocachers follow the missions and fulfill the missions log wise, and people see that on the activity, then they're more inclined to do it themselves.
True.
Just like peer pressure, only in the reverse. No, serious. It's like peer
I
pressure in
know.
the
It's just,
reverse.
we're always taught to, avoid peer pressure. And it's
Yeah,
just funny hearing it called a good thing.
it is. Well, leave it to me, right? But that's the truth of it. If somebody looks in the activity and all they see is so and so was here, so and so was here, so and so was here,
Mhm.
so and so was here, they're not going to care. They're not even going to bother with doing the mission.
Yeah.
But if they see so and so wrote this log, or left this picture, or whatever other mainstays there are for missions, then they're more inclined to do it,
True.
to keep up with the Joneses, as it were.
That's a good point. Yeah, hopefully people will hear this and be inspired to pay more attention to those missions.
Hmm. Yeah. And sometimes I've seen missions that, you know, go so specific, like the caterpillar one, where they want to go to a certain place, and once they've gotten to that certain place, start sending it home.
Yeah.
Okay, are you as a geocacher going to look through all these logs to see that this mission did get accomplished and then send it the right way, or are you going to send it back to accomplish the mission again?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying here is it's also up to the trackable owner to keep track of this stuff. Once the mission's been accomplished, feel free to go in and change the mission, because
Yeah.
you can do that. Even though it's the trackable is out of your hands physically, you still have that power to go in and literally on the drop of a dime change the mission from going north to going south or something along those lines. There's no reason why you can't change the missions halfway through.
That's true.
Not, I don't think anybody does that. I don't have to do that because my stuff always goes lost before it gets there.
Yeah, that was my intent with the Zombie Joe, that once it got the picture of the Winchester Mystery House, that I was going to send it to like another haunted location for
Uh-huh.
a picture, but he never got that far, so I didn't get to update it. I do have one, and it hasn't had a log in a long time, so it may just be dead.
MIA.
But
Yeah.
I had a little Christmas tree, and I wanted to go and be logged in all 50 states.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
when it got dropped in a cache and I had a log in a new state, I would go in and I updated the mission to say, okay, it's been here and we're up to X number of states. Can you take it someplace else?
Right.
And
Right.
I think it got to up to 12 states last time, and it just hasn't had any activity in a long time.
Come on, man. There's 38 more there,
I
33,
know.
whatever.
Well, and the big thing was like you need to log it in the actual in a geocache so that it shows up on the map, because I had one person log, yeah, picked it up in whatever state, and we drove all the way through
Uh-huh.
to whatever and picked up 8 states, but they only logged it at the end place. I was like, well, you didn't actually
I
log
mean,
it
it's
through any of those states.
right. It still adds the miles to it,
Yeah, but
but
it's not
at the
picking up
same
the
time, it
state
doesn't,
pin.
it doesn't hit that pin on that state, so to
Yeah.
speak. Like when I went, last year when I took my daughter, when I took my daughter back to Texas for college, we took the long way around. We went through Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, the state Kansas,
Yeah.
and Texas and whatnot. And we even made a side trip into New Mexico. I had those trackables with me, and I managed. Well, I made it a point to visit one geocache at least in each state, not only for the state souvenir. That's selfish of me, but also to give this person that owns the trackables some mileage and
Yeah.
visible points to see on the Google map, that or the Google Earth rather, when they say, hey, show me their route on Google Earth, they can see a very definite pathway from Peoria, Illinois to Roswell, New Mexico. you
Yeah,
know
I do like looking at the maps and seeing all the
it is
places it's
fun.
been.
It is,
Yeah.
sometimes it's very confusing, very
Yes.
noisy, because it'll stay in one area and it's like, okay, I get it. It's got 1,200 points within one state. So yeah, it gets really tumultuous trying to look through that.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you start getting all the I like to just kind of zoom out and see kind of the big picture lines all over the map, and
I like it when they zip back and forth.
yeah.
I had one that went from Illinois to New York, back to Illinois to California. Literally, I mean, they literally stepped. They literally touched both coasts. And it was like, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to see them path it all the way there instead of
Yeah.
just, because as far as I know, they might have taken an airplane, which they probably did
Yeah.
because of the distance, but it still would have been neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how's something like this go though? And I know people have asked this in other forums that I watch. If you've gotten a geocache, let's say 3 years ago, in let's say Timbuktu, Missouri, and this mission is to visit Missouri, do you bring up that log and attach that visit to that log from 3 years ago?
No, I don't bring up the old log.
Okay.
I would go, maybe I'm a little too black and white sometimes on the rules, was like, oh, I've picked this up. Okay, I've already been to this geocache, but I'm near it, so I can go and dip it, and then I can take my other trackables that I have and dip them as
Right.
well.
So you're revisiting
I will
that
revisit
same
it, even
geocache.
though I can't relog that I found it, but I will leave. What I've done before
Right.
is
No.
write a note, yeah, on the
Yeah.
geocache, came back with trackables
Yeah. I've
and
done
either
that
dipped them or
myself.
left them or whatever. Yeah.
But there are people out there that say, well, this one wants to see Niagara Falls. I was in Niagara Falls back in 2010. Does that count? Well, no, because that
Yeah.
was before this trackable even got created.
Yeah. Sometimes the trackables aren't even active when you've gone and back to them.
But
Yeah.
some people will do that. Again, this game is so it's got a lot of gray areas,
There's a lot of
and
gray areas in it. And
the trackables are just as bad. They're very gray
they
sometimes.
can be. Yeah. I myself, my engineering brain, a lot of times I need things to be black and white. Cause that's kind
Uh-huh.
of how my job is. Like there's no room in an aircraft to
Right.
have a grayscale. It's got to be black or white, or the thing may come out of the sky. Like that's, clear cut.
Oh, come on,
This
a door
works. This
doesn't fall
doesn't.
off just right
That
over
was not
Atlanta. The
one that I
door
worked
doesn't
on,
fall
by the
off.
way. I work on military jets. That was commercial.
Okay, okay.
Just
Sorry, I had to razz you.
I
Had to
know my
razz you.
sister texted me about that too. She's like, "Was this yours?" Being sarcastic. I was like, "No."
Oh, geez.
But,
Sorry, had to
it
do it.
and it's like, okay, black and white. Is this the rule? Okay, this is the rule. I'll follow the rule. But then I know there's a lot of people that are like, well, it doesn't matter. And it's like, okay, you know what? You do what you're going to do. I'm not going to let what you do upset me or how I play, because this is the way I want to play and enjoy it. And I know a lot of people do get upset when people filter through that gray scale of
Yep.
things. But it's like,
Well, and you're not doing any service to the owner of that trackable,
yeah,
because if your picture that you attach with this log for your visit to Niagara Falls is 10 years ago, what are you accomplishing with that owner? Maybe
yeah,
they wanted to see something current. Maybe there's something going on in Niagara Falls that they wanted to see now, not 10 years ago.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's a hypothetical, but I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure it
It's
does.
it's got to happen somewhere. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it happens.
Well, and I'm sure there's instances where with virtuals or some earth caches, depending on how complicated they are, where a person, has been on a trip to say Niagara Falls or Yellowstone, and then they start
Yeah.
geocaching a couple years later and go, "Oh, there's a virtual. Well, I do have a picture
Hmm.
or whatever. Let's see if can I log it, even though I wasn't geocaching 3 years ago when I was there." I'm sure that
Right.
happens.
I like the one I was when I was looking over all my trackables the other day in preparation for this. I found one that they had just logged 2 days ago. So it was what, last Saturday? No, last Friday. They had logged it, and their log said, saw this somewhere, don't remember where, yada yada yada. Um, and they basically discovered it. But when the hell did they see it? Because it's very vague. It's like, okay, so you saw it. I'm not really sure how to accept that.
Yeah.
How old is this log in generation?
Yeah. Now I have to admit, like I'll be at uh I've been to Moga or Geo Woodstock and I've seen trackables on cars and stuff, and I'll snap a picture to log it later.
Oh,
And
sure.
sometimes I forget to do it, and then I'm going through my camera roll and it's like, oh yeah, and I'll log it, but I can remember what I was, I remember, oh yeah, that was on that trip, and I
Uh-huh.
can put that in the logs. I was there, forgot to log it, found it in my camera roll, and explain, but I know why I have it.
Right, right. And we all have done that. I mean, if we
Yeah.
go around to the various events, that is one of those things that just happens to happen. But when it's not not a trackable that's associated with a sticker or a
Yeah.
license plate like the FTF magazine recently did, I'm getting trackable uh, notices from my license plate that's in the FTF magazine. That's okay. I get that.
Yeah.
But when it's something, on a chain that right now is in Pennsylvania and this guy's in Amarillo, huh?
Yeah. And
Either there's
that's
some shenanigans happening there or
well, and one thing that I didn't realize when I first started doing trackables is when you take photos, of course, there's a gallery for the photos of your trackable.
yes, I did not know
And
that.
people can go back
They could
and look
actually
through the photos.
they could crawl through those photos and discover that way,
Yeah,
which is
I've had
totally,
that happen. People have
yeah.
now if it's one that like sometimes because I've taken the picture and put that as the trackable photo and the
Uh-huh.
tracker number showing and not even thinking about it. And then they're like,
Yep.
"Oh, went through the gallery, discovered it." I was like, "Oh, that's how I learned that that was a thing actually."
I know, right? I did the same thing. And like you, I hadn't even released the trackable out in the wild yet. And I'm
Oh,
getting logs. And I'm like, how in the hell did they get this log number, the trackable number? That's when I found out that apparently there's this cloud that everything goes up into, and people can
yeah.
just skim the cloud and find out stuff. So, okay, so from that point on, every time I took a picture, and I make sure that the trackable number is not visible in the
Yeah.
picture, because I do attach a picture of the trackable as I am sending it out in the wild so that people know, hey, there's supposed to be a Snoopy on this trackable tag. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a path tag on this trackable tag. Because one of my trackables, I did that. And this is kind of getting back to the whole mission discussion is the trackable was memory lane. If you remember that
Yes.
program went on a couple of years ago, and memory lane, my trackable had a probably a 3-inch Snoopy uh, blown plastic, token, whatever you want to call it, companion with it as as a memory from my childhood, and it mentioned that in the trackable, about this item, but it also has one of my hidden history path tags, which you'll remember from previous shows. Hidden histories, memories. It just seems to, fall in the right
Went
genre.
together. Yeah.
So, yeah, so whoever gets this trackable not only can do the trackable tag for the code and leave me a log that way, but they can also discover, or whatever you want to call it, the path tag if they happen to have a path tag account. So they're kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal on that one. That's
Yeah.
the only time I've done that, and it's never worked. I have never seen I've never seen a path tag log from it, but it's out there if anybody happens to see it. At least I think it is.
Yeah. Makes me wonder if the path tag's still on it or not.
Well, I put it on with a cable, so if they take the path tag, they're going to destroy the whole
Ah,
thing.
okay.
Because I've been doing that myself too. Which by the way, while we're talking about that, hey GCHQ, next time you make trackables, put the hole a little bit taller or a little bit wider so we can get the cables in there, so I don't have to re-drill
Yeah.
it. Sorry, tangent right there. Every time I use the cables, which are available on GC's shopping page, you can put these cables on the trackables to prevent people from, stealing the companions or whatever.
Or the little, yeah, because
But
sometimes
every
that
time
little
I
bead
do,
thing breaks so easily.
well, that too,
Yeah.
and or it rusts real easy. But in order to use the cables, I have to drill about another millimeter or so off of the trackable tag,
Mm.
and sometimes it gets pretty darn thin on that little island.
Yeah.
So something for GCHQ to think about. But yeah, I've never seen a path tag log from this trackable. It would have been
Mm.
nice, and it was something kind of thinking out of the box as far as a mission, because it
Yeah.
mentions it right in the mission. It says, to add to this memory, please log the path tag on pathtags.com. Nope,
Mm.
crickets. But it's something different for a mission, just to expand somebody's knowledge, possibly. Maybe they didn't know about path tags.
Yeah.
So
So when you sending yours out, you're still sending out the actual travel bug or trackable.
the
You're
only
not making
ones
a proxy.
the only ones I'll do proxies on are on the coins. I
Okay.
will not send a coin out. I will make proxies. In fact, at the last of no, second to last event, I had like 10 proxies of different coins dealing with the Mary Hyde pirate coin, assorted pirate coins, and other, all of them. When I do a leather proxy, it's because it's a coin. I won't do trackable 2.0, let's say, for a leather proxy, because it just no, that that's going to get confusing if that trackable ever does come back out. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody finds it in somebody's drawer somewhere and decides to finally release it back into the wild. Now we've complicated things, because now I could possibly have two trackables on different ends of the state or whatever.
Yeah, I've
But
thought about re-releasing some
yeah,
missing ones, but then I see these stories about 5, 10 years later, it's suddenly back in circulation.
exactly.
So
But
I'm just
I'll
hoping
do the
mine will eventually show back. Or I've seen so many posts on Facebook. Was at Goodwill and found a bag of keychains and there was trackables in it.
yeah, yeah. I hate that, but it is happening. I mean,
Yeah,
but no, I will only do leather proxies for geo coins that I have, and I have a lot of geo coins. I
yeah.
I have literally an ammo box full of geo coins. So if I ever really, really wanted to do some throwing out there of trackables, I have plenty to play with, and I
Release the
have plenty of
coins.
leather, and I have plenty of leather straps to do it with. So
Yeah.
I've proven I can do it. It's not hard. I can, I can make one in about 30 minutes, but I just right now I don't have that kind of time and don't have that kind of inclination.
Yeah.
But eventually it probably will happen. And there are a lot of people that will find, if a trackable goes missing, their next thing is to get the Duplo tags,
Mhm.
which are plasticish geo trackable tags
I've
that you can
seen
fill
different
in.
ones. I've seen wooden
Yeah.
ones and
Yep.
plastic ones and
And people will just right, as soon as they see that it's gone missing, they'll throw another one out without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And are they right? Are they wrong? Who's to say?
I've actually gotten those to use as proxies a couple of times for
Yep.
some coins and stuff. And so sending
Yep.
the actual ones out.
Yeah. If I have an event coming up and I don't have any trackables, which
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often, but I will go ahead and make a few trackables just to throw something out on the table so people can either discover or take and distribute, around. So it does happen.
Yeah, I love trackables. I've gotten to where I make proxies for all of them because I just hate spending even $6 on something that is just I've had too many of them just disappear.
Do you take on the same mission that you did on the first one, or do you change it up?
Oh, I've never re-released them. I buy the trackable, and instead of sending out the trackable, I make a proxy and send the proxy out and then keep the
Oh, okay.
original.
Okay. I thought you were talking about re-releasing.
No, I've never re-released them yet. I'm
Okay.
hoping I'll have one of those comeback stories of 5 plus years later, it suddenly reappears in the wild and
Well, see, what I do is I will if the one time I had it, it was oh shoot, hop along. It was one of my first, it was the first trackable I had, which was Signal the Frog,
okay.
standing upright, and I called him Hop Along. And he went missing at the Canary Islands, like I told you before. And I did re-release him because I figured if he's gone from the islands, there's no hope of him coming back out. So I released him, but I changed the name to Hopalong 2.0.
Okay.
So so maybe, and I asked in that mission, hey, please send me a picture of the trackable, you know, mainly to make sure that it's the new one, not the old one. Because if it's the old one and the new one is still going, then we have problems.
Yeah, that's gonna get interesting fast.
But I'm pretty certain that it's gone. The old one is gone
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So for all I know, some third world kid found it and took it back with him to Pango Pango or something. It's sitting on his floor somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got one I'm pretty sure that's just gone because the cache it was in was listed as missing and then went archived.
Yeah, that's something I found when I was doing my research. There was a event, and I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was in Germany, but there was an event that had, oh, so I swear, if it had 50, it had 100 trackables in the event. And then the event got archived, and every trackable in there is still in there.
Oh, geez.
What the hell happened to them all? There's no way somebody was that irresponsible to just let them, you know, self implode in the event when
Yeah,
they
they're
archived
somewhere,
it. They've got to be, but
but who
I
knows
I
where.
ended up
Yeah.
I ended up marking that was unknown location because whoever the uh, uh, organizer of the event, whenever I throw an event, I'm the last one out the door, and I always make sure every trackable is gone from the table. That's why I always designate a table for the trackables. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And if I notice when I go to archive the event that not all the trackables are out of there, I'll send an announcement through the web of all the people that were there. Hey, did anybody happen to pick up this trackable because it's not logged out of the event yet? This host or whoever in Germany apparently didn't do that for whatever reason. So sorry, 61 months is gone and all of the trackables that were there with it went away,
Yeah.
which 61 months was making a real good mileage. I mean, I went from pretty much all of the states to Germany and then got lost in that event. So anybody that's listening to this, if you have any trackables that happen to go into this event in Germany, fair warning, they're probably MIA because they didn't make it back out.
Yeah.
And that's sad, but it happens.
Yeah,
I can't even fathom how an organizer would let that many trackables get archived.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of
That's a
trackables.
lot. I mean,
Yeah,
I hate it when I love doing trackables. I hate it when they go missing, but I can't imagine having an event and then not accounting for the
right.
trackables.
It's crazy.
Oh.
Let me see if I can find what it was again. I happen to have my listing here. 61 months. Um, well, yeah, I couldn't even tell you what this is all German. Eh, it was in Berlin, Germany. The event was Enten Party QE Fear 2000 events. And anybody that needs to, I can text message you the name or something because you're never going to find it. But it was apparently back in October 1st of 22 was when
Oh.
the event was. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting.
Are you kidding me right now? I died from fire.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, anybody that's got trackables there never made it out of that event, apparently.
That's a bummer.
That is
They're
totally a bummer.
somewhere. That's the thing is they're all somewhere. It's
They've got
just
to be. They're probably in somebody's mayonnaise jar.
yeah.
jar.
They're in somebody's bag someplace. Bottom of a dresser drawer or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it pops up, but after well, over 1 year, because now we're in 24.
Yeah.
I don't seem very lucky on seeing that one again, because I would have thought it would have popped up by now.
Yeah. I've got one that's been missing since 2019.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of my very first trackables. I very first place I left it too.
Oh, no kidding.
Really, like it has one log. I didn't have any caches hidden, so I might have taken it to one or two places before that. Very first cache I left it in. It all of a sudden, like a month or so later, I get a message from somebody. Hey, I was in this cache and your trackable's not there.
Yep, I've gotten those emails before.
And then I looked at it, was like, well, it's only had two logs since then, the person that messaged me and one other person. So I messaged them and said, hey, did you happen to pick this up? And they
Uh-huh.
only had like 5 finds and I never heard back from them. So, cause
No, because they're probably out of the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was either picked up by them and they just didn't do anything with it, or they got muggled or something. Who knows? But
Now, see, whenever I send out trackables, and I don't know if everybody does this or not, but by having the geocache right outside my door here in my front yard, I dip all of my new trackables in there to start the clock, basically, to start the mileage clock.
yeah.
So, like in your case, how far did you go to drop that first trackable off? 2, 3 miles, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. This one starts literally from home base. So wherever I drop any of these new trackables, that's going to add on to the mileage right off the bat. So it's kind of the one of those things I do. In fact,
Yeah.
those that follow my liar's cache that's in the front yard, they texted me, "Oh, did you just drop off a couple of trackables?" Yeah. Okay, well, I just saw it in your notes, so I'm like, okay, so glad to see you're following. Thanks.
Hey, somebody's watching at least.
That's right. But the getting back to the missions, I mean, what else can you say about them? It's again your chance to put something different out there for geocachers to either follow or observe. And unfortunately, it goes unnoticed a lot,
Yeah.
at least around here. I don't know if it is same everywhere, but around here, not a lot of missions get accomplished, it seems.
Yeah. That's been my experience too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, did you have a cache highlight for us today?
I don't really know. I
Okay.
don't have a cache highlight. I
Oh, not a
didn't come with
problem.
that because I figured we're not talking about caches today, really.
I
So I
know.
didn't think it was appropriate.
Okay, not a problem. I'm okay with that.
Well, I do have a cache highlight if you want it.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
All right.
So what do we have for the cache highlight?
Well, let me preface this. I'm
Okay.
using this as a highlight because it has gone unfound over a year, and because of that, I had to go out and check to make sure it was still there.
Oh, this is one of your
So
hides?
this is one of my hides that I'm hoping to get more activity in.
Okay.
All right. And it is GC8KNQC, Alfresco Remembered 2.0.
So what is this cache like that nobody's found it for over a year?
It's very, very well camouflaged.
Okay.
If geocachers put it back the way it's supposed to be, it's so well camouflaged. I needed to use my tracker. I had to use my thing on my app to find it because it was like,
Wow.
yeah, it was like, oh my God. And when I got to it, I was literally standing on top of it. It's like, holy cow. One, my coordinates are right on, but more importantly, it it's a cache that people have the people that did find it when it was first put out loved it. They're like, oh yeah, this is such a neat cache, great camouflage, blah blah blah. And it's just gone it got part of the problem is local developer here tried to do some construction on the other side of the road from where it's at, which is
Mm.
what made me move it to a 2.0.
Okay.
And as a result, a lot of people stayed away from it, I think, because they didn't want to get near the construction crews. So now those construction crews are gone because the guy went bankrupt, and I want to get more activity in there.
Okay. So have you had like a bunch of DNF finds on logs on it?
Nope.
No,
I've had a
nothing?
lot of people, I've had, I literally had to go check on it Memorial Day weekend because it had not been even DNF'd for over a year.
Wow.
Yep. And that's one of those things as a cache owner is like you have to keep in mind, keep a watch of your geocaches that are they getting even hit? And there were 3 or 4 of them that had not had any visitors, at least nothing noted for over a year. So I had to go out and check them as maintenance run. And thankfully, 3 out of the 4 were still there by
Huh.
surprise, in fact, because one of them's in a very populated area, but yet it was still there.
So has this particular one been found? Has it had the FTF?
Oh yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah.
so it has been found at least once, but it just has nobody's been doing anything for over a year.
Hmm.
That's wild.
And it's on a main thoroughfare coming in and out of the town, so it's definitely there to be found. Anybody that comes into Peoria will see it if they come in the right way.
Huh.
So yeah. So what the heck? Let's make that your cache highlight.
Hey, why not?
You might get tired of reading the description, but have a good go at it.
I tell you what, I'm kind of glad I stopped doing that for every episode because like some of them are just so crazy long.
Yeah, yeah. This one, let me go back to it here. This one's this one's crazy long. This one's probably going to be a couple of pages.
You tend to have crazy long ones.
You're welcome. It's the hidden history thing. Because it's a hidden history, I need to
Ah,
give
yeah.
a thorough documentation of what you would have seen had you been there in 1929.
Yeah. Now I
I mean,
appreciate when CEOs put effort into, their description and stuff. I just don't want to read it out loud.
and you don't have to. Feel free to read it, give an abridged version. I don't care. Give it an abridged version. The important thing is the reason I like this one, and this quite honestly is one of my pinnacles, is because um, this was one of them that started me on the hidden histories. Okay, and this was viable, I guess if you want to call it that, back in the 1920s to 1929. Okay, which is long before I even became a glint in my dad's eye. Hell, it's probably before my dad became a glint in my dad's eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1929, and the fact that I was able to uncover all this information and see remnants still around today of this were just fascinating. And it was the subject of a couple of FTF Geocaching magazine articles. So people are familiar with it. And unfortunately, when the construction crew started, or when I found out there was going to be construction, I moved it across the highway from where it was. So it's still valid in the area, just a little bit different.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think a lot of people that find it would like it because it is very well camouflaged. And I probably didn't do it justice with the difficulty or terrain level, but they'll get the idea.
What's the difficulty currently set at on it?
Let's see here. 2.5 and 2.5.
Sounds like that difficulty level might need to go up a little bit.
It definitely would need to go up a little bit, depending on what time of the year you go for it.
Ah.
That's the only hint I'm giving.
That can be tricky on setting DT levels when the difficulty depends on the time of year.
That's a totally different episode there, Amy. We're not even going to go into that. I tried to make it as even-steven as I could because depending on what time of year you go for it, the terrain can change and the difficulty can change.
Fair enough. Well, Lee, thank you for coming on today and talking to us about travel bug missions. Hopefully we've inspired a few people to add some creativity to theirs.
I think they've got enough knowledge base now to work with it that hopefully that will happen, yes.
You've been listening to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1. If you'd like to get in touch, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or go to geocacheadventures.org and you can find the information on the contact page. Theme music is by The Travel Bugs. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you heard of FTF Magazine? It's the magazine for geocachers. It is full of articles and pictures all submitted by geocachers just like you. I'm a subscriber myself, and I love it. My favorite part is the little snippets on the edges of the articles on all the different pages. Those are my favorites. Just go to ftfgeo.com to check them out and tell them Shadow Dragon 1 sent you.